Before we get started, I just wanted to say this video is uploaded on my Patreon for all tiers, and has some bonus clips that I can't put in this version due to YouTube's copyright system being the way it is. If you would like to see that version, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. And now, on with the show. If you've been around the channel for any length of time, you'll know that I'm a visual creature by trade. Despite my eyes deciding to crap out from the moment of my birth, I have made a career out of a visual media that piques my interest. However, in around 2022, when I had that retail job that just kept calling me in, making me not be able to do this all the time, or even at all, it kinda left me with little to no downtime, and watching the same handful or so of videos that interested me at the time can only get you so far. In lieu of anything to keep my attention, I bumped my mom's Audible account and started listening to some gay romances that I'd heard made the rounds that year, leading me to my favorite book of all time, Red, White, and Royal Blue. This book isn't flawless by any means, and a lot of people I know can't get through it, but it really resonated with me from even the first listen, and it spoke to me in not only its main character, but the love interest, the side characters, all of it seemed like it was designed to appeal to me as a consumer. I speak no hyperbole when I say this book has been a solid foundation in my life since I discovered it. To the point, I actually got the collector's edition. I've actually been getting into physical media a lot recently, so I guess I'm gonna blame this book for that too. Yay! Alex and Henry are solid characters, and what I like about the plot is that while yes, homophobia is the main tension element, the actual plot mainly centers on the two main characters growing because they actually like one another and showing their vulnerabilities in a way they either haven't been able to with others or have been forced to hide for fear-mongering. It is truly a story I can get lost in time after time, and I could sing its praises for hours. Then Amazon made a shitty version of it.
I am going to throw myself into the sea.
Red, White, and Royal Blue, the movie, is a 2-hour rom-com that feels like it's both too short and too long for what the plot demands. It changes so many fundamental aspects of the source material that if you were to swap out the characters' names, then I'm pretty sure it would qualify as an original IP. And the sad thing is that if you asked me on a good day if this movie was worth a watch, I'd probably say yes. But, much like the Miraculous movie, if you don't know the context of what's changed, or flat out not explained, the whole thing falls apart. The acting is fine, the pacing is fine, the integration of text and emails into the scenes is frankly amazing, but my god does this movie fundamentally misunderstand its characters and their nuances. Like, yes, the plot doesn't really have a moral beyond being forced to stay in the closet is a bad. That's a basic moral and it's hard to fuck that up, although they do a bang-up job of that anyway, but we'll get to that. However, how its characters get to the same endpoints is my major sticking point. And I want to get this out of the way right now. This isn't a book good, movie bad thing and a simple black or white thing. There are things this movie does that I like that we'll get into later. And on top of that, I'm the guy who likes a lot of film adaptations of popular things. So please understand that if you enjoy this movie, I'm not bashing for the sake of it. I just want to talk about a thing that I fell so in love with that got a mediocre movie made about it. Oh, and to pour salt on the wounds, this movie came out on mine and Red's anniversary. So, you know, that's a bit of a fun owl for you. The only way I can think to go about this is by aping Dominic Noble in his Lost in Adaptation series, because it's really helpful to the point I'm trying to make while also not doing it verbatim, if that makes any sense. Having said that, let's start with the basic rundown of what they share, as it'll be a lot shorter. Alex Claremont Diaz is a 22-year-old college student from Texas in his final year of studies trying to make his way through the political world as he feels that is where he can do the most good for not only the world but also his mother's career, seeing as she's the president of the United States. He has a best friend named Nora Hollerand who is wickedly smart, very bisexual, and his ex-girlfriend. Our other leading gentleman is literally the Prince of England, Henry Fox Wales, who is, well, Prince Charming with some daddy issues. So, again, Prince Charming. The two have had a bitter rivalry for some time, at least when the movie starts. Alex and Nora are attending Henry's older brother Philip's wedding. Through a combination of anger and smugness, Alex gets drunk at some point and knocks over the £70,000, money-wise, wedding cake onto him and Henry, causing an international scandal that results in him and Henry needing to play nice and pretend to be friends to smooth things over, all in the public's eye. Throughout the plot, the two get genuinely closer until New Year's Eve when Henry gets drunk, kisses Alex, leaves, and ghosts him for about a month. off. In the meantime, Alex has a bisexual awakening and Nora gives him this gem of a line.
I mean, you've been wanting him to dick you down forever.
Alex then gets Henry alone, makes out with him, and then the two start hooking up regularly and getting closer in a more intimate way. There's a few close calls with the media, Alex gets put on and taken off his mother's re-election campaign within a month of each other, and he tries to make things real with Henry, prompting him to ghost Alex again, and Alex this time storming off to London and hash things out with Henry in his bedroom. They do, and almost immediately are found out via their leaked emails to each other. And yes, this book was written during the aftermath of the 2016 election. How could you tell? They go to Buckingham to hash this out with the sitting monarch, and because of the public's approval, are allowed to be themselves in public. And as a cherry on top, Alex's mom wins re-election. That in and of itself is the basics of the plot, and while yes, that seems like the big things, the movie misses out on quite a bit of them as well. For example, Alex has a sister in the book named Catalina June for short, who was kinda just absorbed into Nora as a character. Going forward, I'm going to refer to movie Nora as Janora and book Nora as Nora, because they are fundamentally the same character, but the movie version also takes June's place as the emotional rock Alex needs, which is just not Nora. Like, there's actually a line about that in the book towards the end. Look, you know I'm not good with the whole, like, tactical emotional communication thing, but, June's not here, so I'm gonna fucking give it a go. And I'm not gonna lie, this change pisses me off because the first character we meet in the book is June. It's said multiple times June looks after Alex and is only in DC with the family to keep him out of trouble and help when she's needed. She never states this outright, but we understand this via the book's narration and that Alex and June have the most scenes after him and Henry. June has her own wants of being a published author and making columns in political news affiliates, and by the looks of the ending is going to be the White House speechwriter. She even gets a book deal at the end. June is the heart of the family, and she keeps them honest. She's the socialite that can get people to come to parties when they otherwise wouldn't. And she's probably my favorite character. Her and Henry's sister Beatrice, actually. This might get a little heavy, so if drug addiction, dying at a young age, or even just death itself is a bit much for you, please skip to this time code. I completely understand needing to skip this, but I need to get this off my chest. Last September, my younger sister died at 27 due to liver failure from alcohol poisoning. It was a sudden shock and we thought she'd pull through, but she didn't. Henry's sister Beatrice had a cocaine addiction for a while after their father died of cancer, and she got clean after Henry came out to her and basically had a meltdown, and doesn't even drink, which props to her because she wasn't an alcoholic, she just had a cocaine addiction, so I find that kind of admirable to her as a character. While June is older than Alex by a couple of years, the relationship Alex and her have was extremely similar to me and my sister in that way that only siblings that are close in age can be. Actually, there's a big theme in the book itself about siblings being there for each other that I might talk about another time, but I digress. So, in a way, this movie removing such a fundamental aspect of the story feels in my grief-induced mind like it's erasing my sister in a way. I know that's not true, it literally can't be, but it's one of those things that your mind does while you're coping that I can't really explain. In all honesty, I would have thought exercising Nora from the story would have been easier because they removed her whole reason for being in the book to begin with. Speaking of which, in the book, Nora is an openly bisexual supercomputer on legs, and I'm not joking here, aside from having the bi powwow with Alex, nothing she does in the book is contributed to this movie. In the book, Nora takes Alex on a date when the media are on him and Henry for their relationship, while June does the same thing for Henry. She acts as a fun buffer for all the characters to go between, and she figures out what happened with the email servers by way of another character that isn't in the movie, Rafael Luna. Luna is a 35-year-old openly gay Latino man that Alex's father helped get elected to the Senate and is a close family friend as a result of that time spent together, even becoming Alex's mentor. Their dynamic isn't a central part of the book, at least not to me, but the best way I can describe it is a gay uncle and his bi nephew that bonded about it without even realizing it, and the underspoken bond queer people have on an innate level with each other, especially between generations, is a theme I like seeing explored. At about halfway into end of the book at the Democratic National Convention, Luna leaves, defects to the opposite campaign with a Republican nominee, Jeffrey Richards, who is basically a footnote in this movie. In the book, however, he hires PIs to take pictures, stalk, and yes, even hack the White House email server to start a sex scandal about Alex and Henry to throw his mother off kilter and possibly lose the election. Luna got the emails from the Richards campaign and sent them to Nora to analyze and find out what really happened in all this. And in the movie, none of that happens. What actually happens is this guy Alex slept with a few weeks ago, which is so dumb I'm gonna swing back to it in a second, gets jealous that Alex doesn't want to fuck him anymore, so leaks not only the elevator footage of him and Henry being chummy, but also is the one who leaked the email. This guy, by the way, is an amalgamation of like 3 different plot points all rolled into one. The first is Alex's old lacrosse buddy Liam, who he used to get drunk with and fool around with back in high school, which is like 6 to 8 years by the time the book starts, so keep that in mind. The second is an unnamed reporter June slept with in the book, and the third is Luna / the PIs Richard hired. Miguel is an entirely new character that turned what should have been a political drama espionage thing into a jealous fuck buddy getting butthurt that his meal ticket fell in love with someone else. Is that technically interesting as an elevator pitch? Yes, but not very interesting in the final product. It's like they knew they had to have the email scandal in there, but didn't know how to do it without Luna, so just made up a character that ticked all the boxes Alex needed in his coming out journey, but forgot what exactly those things meant in the context of the story they're telling. The director of this is a gay man, and I feel like he wanted to make the coming out process more of a well duh moment than it was in the book, so truncated everything down so hard that it stopped making sense. And I know this because he did it with Henry too. In the book, Henry is belittled, abused, and repressed to the point he's always masking. He's always got to be what people want him to be, not what he needs to be. There's a lot of great passages in the book from his perspective in emails, and I particularly like this one about grieving and him meeting Alex. It's really powerful. And this line Beatrice gives about how childhood trauma forms the basis of your personality that you can't really change because of how fundamental it is to your life from that point onward. Henry's father's death is brought up in the movie, but it seems more like an afterthought than anything. In the book, it affects the royal family in vastly different ways. Bea went on a bender, Philip starts looking up to the queen. Oh yeah, in the movie, the one on the throne is a man because the queen had just died in real life, so they had Stephen Fry play a homophobic king. Because that makes sense. Oh, this fucking movie. Anyway, Henry was made to button up and be the perfect Prince Charming and not be who he's meant to be. All of this while their mother Catherine was grieving for the last 5 years and not being involved at all. At the climax of the book, Bea goes and gets her and talks some sense into her, leading to the final confrontation with the Queen and Henry being emboldened by the man he loves and the family that loves him to come out to the world on his own terms. I like what this says about loss and about how it can affect people in different ways. Some choose to drown out the pain, some choose to wallow in it, and others don't really have a choice, and have to keep going on like nothing's wrong, because otherwise the world will eat them alive. And that kind of love is something we all need because it gives us strength in trying times, and with decisions that can and will affect the rest of our lives. That simple but important message is the backbone of this story in a way, and it's what adds a bit of pop to the characters involved so they feel more alive. The director looked at all that, went, nah, seems like he's coming out for his mom's sake, and wrote her out of the story. And that just seems petty in my mind. Like, Catherine isn't in the book much, but I like how it takes her to task for not being a good mom to her kids, and the reason for that is some parents do just shut down. Completely understandably, but there are more people involved than just you in this, and having that, oh shit, I need to pick myself up moment is something that I think is more valuable than what we got in the movie. Henry is...
Now, I give the orders in this palace. Oh, for Christ's sake, Alex, for once, I wish you could see me for who I am and not who you want me to be.
Well, he's more angry in the movie, and I don't quite get why. Maybe it's a director thing or the acting, I'm not entirely sure. But first off, I'm just not a fan of the actor that got to play Henry because he's admitted that he's not gay or even bi. And at this point, this guy's career has been made on him playing gay characters. It's 2025 when I'm making this, and this was released in 2023. Hire gay actors to play gay characters. It's not a hard concept. That being said, his performance is fine. Not my first choice and needs some better direction in some scenes, but I don't hate him. I will say his motivation seems to change a bit from scene to scene. Like, we go from one scene of Henry saying he has to belong to the world and that this has to be more casual than an obvious green screen of Eiffel Tower, to then him saying,
I think we should make love tonight.
like, you could have just said have sex or fuck or something. Why mix messages like that, man? Something else that kind of bothers me is that Pez, Henry's best friend, is more or less in like 3 scenes, and you could cut him and lose nothing, because the movie got rid of June and Janora gets slapped onto him because God forbid that this absolute dish of a lady isn't paired up before the 30-minute mark. Speaking of time, there's a lot of things in the book that just aren't really brought up in the movie, like Alex's long-standing crush on Henry going as far back as to when he was 14, the Olympics, Liam in general, and I feel that was a missed opportunity. Genuinely, this should have been a miniseries.
Blah, blah, blah. Proper name, place name, backstory stuff.
Starting each episode with flashbacks that inform a specific revelation to the episode, while also allowing each scene to breathe and even add depth to the characters. I think there was even a way to integrate all this as part of the intro, like a montage or even mirrored panning shots of the boys' lives and photos or even press releases. That'd be an interesting way to show their respective struggles, like Alex's parents' divorce or Henry's dad's passing, and how each became more buttoned up as we pan across the photos. It's so simple, I'm baffled why they didn't do that. It's not all bad though. I like a lot of the filmmaking choices, like the fact they'll superimpose Henry into scenes to convey a conversation, either by text, email, or a phone call. It makes everything feel more intimate than it could have otherwise. This moment, when the beat drops and sound vanishes from the film at the New Year's party, and that spark finally sets in for the 2 leads, is just mwah! I could kiss this moment. In the book, Alex has this thing called the Texas Binder that never really goes anywhere, aside from being a way to explain how fucked the voter districts are in a more natural way to the reader. But it's his way of wanting to get boots on the ground for people in Texas who want to vote, but don't have access or have been given misinformation from the right. Well, in the movie, it's been changed to the Texas Initiative, where we get to see him do all the work the book talked about. On top of that, during the montage, we get narration of my favorite chapter in the book, Chapter 11, which is just Alex and Henry emailing each other after Alex got fired, and it's very sweet. It's by far the shortest chapter in the book, but it's an honest and deep look into their insecurities as characters, dressed up in earnest phrasings that I wish we got to see more in stories in general. So seeing those 2 things added into the movie so organically was a nice treat. I will admit it is jarring to see Stephen Fry in the movie, but I'm not angry at the reason for him being cast rather than a woman, given the fact that the actual queen had just died. Don't really need another Wicked moment on our hands. While I'm not a fan of how Henry is portrayed as more angry and defiant near the end, I do respect it in a way. As someone who's been told his whole life to calm down and be as small as possible, I really vibe with the fact that he's trying to assert what control he does have, and that being ignored is something I fully understand and vibe with to a T. Uma Thurman as Ellen, Alex's mom, is a solid bit of casting. I truly enjoy her in anything she's in. Swapping out Alex's main handler in the book, Cash, to focus more on Amy, who is also one of his handlers, was, I think, a smart idea to give more female screen time in the movie. And bonus, she's played by a trans actress, Anise Sheath, because the character is trans. And yeah, it is sad I have to praise this, especially with what I said earlier about Henry, but so many big movies don't get this right. And I'm glad they did, because it wasn't what defined Amy as a character by any means, but it's still important to who she is as a character. And lastly, Zara. I didn't mention her much, but she's the second in command to the president. Not vice president, but she's Ellen's right-hand woman. I have no notes for her. She was perfectly cast, perfectly acted, everything. I love the energy Sarah Shahi brought to the table for her, and I'd gladly watch a movie about her and Helen as characters just doing girl boss shit. That'd be dope as hell. This is not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not a travesty upon the world, and I have gone back to watch it a few times and have softened in a lot of ways to it. However, what it gets wrong about the characters, morals, and even the individual arcs is my problem. The bones of the story are there, and I appreciate the details added in, but without June, Catherine, or even Luna, the movie feels hollow. Like, the whole point of the story was skipped because people wanted to focus on 2 hot guys that want to hate fuck each other, turning into 2 guys that want to fuck each other, but in a soft way. It misses the point so hard that while I find it watchable if I detach myself from the book, as an adaptation, it's heartbreaking to say the least. It feels like the stars had aligned for what is my favorite story and just left out all the bits that earned it that title. I wanted to like this movie, and I do find it a serviceable package overall, but if you loved the book or even just like it a lot, I wouldn't see it without that separation in mind. It's not in name only as an adaptation, but it comes close to it in a lot of ways, and for that, I'm sad. If you like this, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that fun noise, and please tell me if you like this movie. I genuinely want to hear other fans' takes on it. The links to my Discord and Patreon are in the description. If you're able to support me, I'd appreciate it more than you could possibly know. And with that, my name is Chris, and I hope you have a pride-tastic month.